Madam Clerk,
Yes, sir.
would you please call the roll?
Ms. Bryant,
Present.
Dr. Dotson,
Present.
Mr. Hugo,
Present.
Mr. Moody,
Here.
Ms. Thomas,
Here.
Mr. Tillett,
Here.
Mayor Glover.
Here. And so we today for our agenda item is the proposed 2026 state and federal legislative initiatives. And we have here with us our team member, Ms. Sherry Neal, who is our intergovernmental affairs manager. Ms. Neal, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. And good evening.
Good
Mayor Glover, Vice Mayor Moody, honorable members of council, Deputy City Manager Coleman, City Attorney Graham, Madam Clerk. It is my pleasure to be before you this evening to share with you the recommendations of the Portsmouth City Council Legislative Advisory Committee for initiatives for the 2026 state and federal legislative initiatives. And before I delve into this, I just wanted to give a special thanks to council for creating this committee. The members of council that have on there now and past, our staff that are on there, the city leadership has been a tremendous help in creating a much more dynamic and diverse legislative package than we've had for many, many years. So I personally thank you guys for doing this and creating this. And thank you for all of you who serve. We couldn't have done this without you. It's been a great team effort. So, moving forward, So again, I said I'm presenting on behalf of the committee this evening, and I'm going to share with you our recommendations for council adoption of our state legislative initiatives and budget amendments, as well as we have some things for the federal initiatives. I'll go over some next important dates and next steps and any questions and answers that you may have. So, starting with the legislative initiatives, we have 5 legislative initiatives that we're recommending. The first one is the issue there is a need for the city to exhibit better control over special use permits in the city. We're looking to enhance the oversight of special use permits by adding another tool in zoning's toolbox to help to prevent their misuse. The City of Portsmouth, we're requesting that the General Assembly amend this particular code section, adding Portsmouth to the cities of Hampton and Norfolk, which, quote, may impose condition upon any special exception or use permit relating to retail alcoholic beverage control licenses, which provides that such special exception or use permit will automatically expire upon a change of ownership of the property, a change in possession, a change in the operation or management of a facility, or the passage of a specific period of time. The next item here, the next 4 items are dealing with public safety. These are all to enhance and help our public safety members in Portsmouth and statewide. The first one, the issue there is there's a need for public safety departments throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia to provide relief and support in addressing temporary detention orders, TDOs, and emergency custody orders, ECOs. For over 10 years, public safety departments have needed support with TDOs and ECOs execution. Although some pilot programs for alternative transportation providers were established, no permanent solution has been implemented. Staff shortages worsen strains as officers spend extended periods of time executing these orders, impacting their ability to serve communities. So what we're asking here is that the General Assembly provides sorely needed relief to our public safety departments by passing legislation enabling the employment of approved retired law enforcement officers to specifically provide transportation and processing services for people subjected to TDOs and ECOs. Next item is legislation creating a Class 2 misdemeanor for the act of leaving a firearm in an unlocked vehicle. The issue here, again, is the proliferation of stolen, before I go any further, on that one I just spoke of, the TDOs and the ECOs, we've also shared these items with Virginia Municipal League, and we've shared them with Virginia First Cities. And The TDO ECOs is in both of their legislative packages as well. On the firearms, this one is also included in Virginia First Cities. In Portsmouth, the police department has observed a sharp rise of firearms left unattended and unsecured in parked vehicles. From January of this year through August of this year, the Portsmouth Police Department received 58 reports of firearms stolen from unlocked cars in the city. This figure highlights a growing problem with profound implications for community safety. The concern is not unique to Portsmouth. It affects the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. As I said, Virginia First Cities is supporting this as well, and they convened several meetings this year in conjunction with the University of Virginia's Law Department and the police departments that are representative of each of the member cities to address the problem of gun violence with use. So the request here is that the General Assembly create a Class 2 misdemeanor for the incident of leaving a vehicle. Yes?
When you get done, I'd love to ask a question on that.
Okay. For leaving a firearm in an unmarked vehicle, which would result in 6 months in jail or a $1,000 fine or both.
Dr. Dodson, you have the floor.
So I just had a thought on that one. Could there, would it be appropriate to add loss of a concealed permit to the owner on that one also?
I understand what you're saying. Could you speak up a little bit?
Would it be appropriate to add loss of concealed permit authorization to that one also? In other words, if they have a concealed permit, they would lose it?
Open for discussion.
That's a separate process done by the court. I don't think we would have the authority to be able to do that. There's no provision under the code, Dillon rule, that allows us to
Regulate.
do that by council. And so I don't think this body has the authority to do so.
No, we would, but to propose it for the legislation.
I think suggesting that would be something that the locality would be doing might be problematic. Your Class 2 misdemeanor is a crime. The person would be convicted of a crime already, so it's pretty significant. But it would go, because of the conviction, it would go towards the consideration given on whether they would get a permit in the future anyway. So because it is a separate provision, I think it would be easier to keep it separated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The next item, the issue there is Photo Enforcement Authority, extended time needed to review stoplight and speeding infractions. There is a need to extend, by law, the review period for stoplight and speed violation videos. Currently, red light violations must be reviewed within 10 days, while speed violations in school zones are permitted to be done within 30 days.
Excuse me, Ms. Neal, when you say must be reviewed from 10 or to 30 days, is that review meaning that actually looking at it and then distributing or sending out a bill or whatever they send
Yes,
out,
sir.
a
That's
notification? That time frame is all included in that?
Yes, so right now in code, they only have 10 days to review these
Okay.
infractions. And from our understanding is that if it's not done within 10 days, then they can't
Okay.
issue a summons.
Councilman Hugo.
And the review is a law enforcement review. So there has to be a police officer review every one of these before a ticket can be issued. In the case of stoplights, it's a video review, and the current requirement is got to be done within 10 days. In the case of school zone speed tickets, it's picture review, which is generally takes less time than a video review.
Sure.
And the current statute allows for 30 days of review. And so the chief's point is, in asking for this, is to ask the General Assembly to make the review periods the same for both, and to accommodate with longer review periods so that the law enforcement person can actually get the reviews done
Right.
in order to issue tickets to the offenders.
So have their tickets been dismissed due to the...
There have been tickets not issued because the review takes longer than 10 days, and as soon as you hit 10 days, then anything that's in the queue is discarded.
Now, how many officers are there officers dedicated to that process?
Yes. And I'm not sure if it's officers or officer,
No, it's one.
but I think it might just be one police officer that's assigned to do the reviews because of the overall shortage of police officers.
And the reason why I ask, I wonder, given the number and the addition of red light cameras, is 30 days going to be sufficient?
Well, I think we concluded, let's at least bring the rules into sameness as a starting place and see if that gives our law enforcement folks the time they need to complete the reviews.
Yeah, and
Councilman.
and also, Vice Mayor, to that point, the last bullet point of allowing trained special conservators of the peace and technicians employed by localities to review, that will increase the manpower and allow police officers to do their actual job and free them up to go back onto the streets.
Yeah, that's an important one.
Well thought out. Very good.
Here too, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Councilman Dodson.
I need to express an opposing view on this one. I'm 30 days, if I were to get a violation, I would forget, not know, I would not be able to defend myself because the information would be long lost, in my opinion, as a defendant in that. I can't support a 30-day.
Oh, it's being put in parity, sorry, Councilman.
Go ahead. Go-
Mayor
go- go- go-
Glover,
go ahead,
Councilman
ma'am.
Dodson. It's just asking to be put in parity with the same way that they review school zone infractions for and it's 30 days for that
I
one.
understand.
So-
I still have to express my opposition to, I mean, in parity, I agree. It needs to be in
Okay.
parity, but I don't agree that it's 30 days is, my ability to recover information, to defend myself or something like that in court would be gone in 30 days.
Understood. Yes,
I don't know if
Mayor.
it matters, but the picture of the video will still be there. So, I mean, I don't know if it matters, but, you know, they're probably going to use the video or the picture as evidence of the infraction. And
That
whatever
will
your
remind-
recollection is, whoever was driving that car, when it went through that light or whatever,
I know when I got mine, they sent the picture.
it took a picture of me too. It took a picture of me too, so I didn't really have to say anything.
I ain't saying I hate those.
So, but, I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
It's okay. We're done. Because Councilman Tillers answered and addressed the last bullet on there, which was very timely, Councilman Moody, thank you. So that's what the last one is, to try to have the legislation passed that will allow the hiring of and the use of special conservators of the peace and technicians employed by localities to review these films, which will free up the officers to do more community work and what they were hired to do. Yes, sir.
And one other question, Ms. Neal. Can you educate me and us perhaps on what is a special conservator of the peace? What is that? Who is that? I've seen that term before, I just didn't know.
Sometimes they refer to magistrates that way.
Okay,
It's just a term of art for an official who has a very unique set of abilities given to a certain circumstance.
Okay.
It's defined in the state code.
got it.
Sorry.
Are they appointed by the courts?
They can be. It depends on where they're serving and what role. So, but oftentimes that's depends on what they're going to be doing. They're law enforcement. Sometimes they have special conservators for law enforcement purposes or magistrates. So it just depends on how they're serving.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Neal, for the second bullet on the TDOs and the ECOs, I don't remember, can you help me recall, was that regarding having the retired law, are those regarding like kind of mental health type things? Like, is that what that was? Okay, I couldn't recall like what that was tied to, but I thought we had that
Temporary
discussion.
detention orders, right.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Bryant, ma'am, did you want the floor?
I didn't, but I will take it now that you've
Okay.
offered it.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm thinking back to the special conservators of the peace line there. Is that something that any of our neighbors already have in place? Do we know what that's potentially going to look like for us, or am I getting too far ahead of myself? I'm wondering if that will be somebody employed by the police department and trained for that purpose, or maybe we don't have that much outlined yet.
Mayor, Sharon.
Councilman Hugo.
As I recall, the chief told us that no one has that authority by state code now. And so this is
Got it.
for us asking for
So
There
this
you
would be
go.
brand
the
new.
General Assembly
Okay.
to put this into state code so that we
Okay.
could take advantage of it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ms. Neal.
Very good.
It's wonderful having committee members.
Section 19.2. Section 19.2-12 lists a whole list of various conservators of the peace of the code. So it just depends on where they're serving, and so this would just add another, I guess, list of folk to that.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think we're good.
So then we have 4, potentially 5 budget amendment requests that we're looking at. The first one is for Phase 1 and 2 of the Prentice Street Transmission, Water Main Transmission Project. This was something that was included in our 2025 legislative package as well. And specifically, we were trying to address a transmission line that's water distribution system that's in downtown Suffolk. We were awarded $4.5 million, which was vetoed by Governor Youngkin. So we're going back to ask again for that 4.5 back, plus any funding we could possibly get for the second phase of that project. The next item on there is $17 million for the new Housing Resource Center. So this project consists of creating a one-stop housing resource center for the city of Portsmouth that offers a variety of services for up to 54 single displaced individuals experiencing unhoused or homelessness, and will include supporting programs such as short-term housing units, day services, learning centers, and dining service. The next item on there is 4.25 for the sanitary sewer pump station rehabilitation project. And the total overall cost for that project was a little over $21 million. We were awarded 4.25 in this last General Assembly session, and I believe that was able to address 5 of the pump stations of the 25 that need to be rehabbed. So we're going back to ask again to another 4.25 so they can continue the process. The next item on the list is $1.2 million for the lead service inventory enhancement for lead service line inventory.
It's lead.
I'm sorry?
Lead.
Yeah.
Not
Oh, it's
lead.
lead or lead?
Lead.
Lead.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. I had lead before. I had lead and copper. Then I saw this. I'm like, maybe it's not lead and copper, but lead. Thank you.
PD.
Lead service line inventory enhancement for lead replacement program. So this would enable us to take field samples to inform a machine learning predictive model that to enhance the ability to locate lead and copper and meet regulatory requirements for the service and identification and replacement of these lines. Yes, Mayor.
Yes, so question on the 17 million for new housing resource center. I need to understand housing resource center. Is that for the development of a housing resource center and building or whatever, however we're gonna do that? And then if that's just for putting it in place, I guess going forward, we would have to determine where the funding
Thank
would
you
come
for
from
the
for
question.
such a housing.
Operations.
Operations, correct.
So to my, go ahead.
Councilman Hughes.
Councilman.
Yeah, so this Housing Resource Center is otherwise known as our homeless shelter.
Okay, there you
Okay,
go.
so you'll recall that the last council set aside ARPA funding for the homeless shelter
Yes,
project, along with several other projects. Because time has passed, every one of those projects is now more expensive
Sure.
than the ARPA funding that we had set aside.
Yes, sir.
And so I asked the city manager about basically the same question you're asking during our committee meeting. We're asking for 17 million for a homeless shelter because that's the current price tag to build and outfit the homeless shelter.
Very good.
And the ARPA funds that we had set aside for the homeless shelter would end up being used for all of the other projects that are more expensive now than the ARPA money that we had set aside. So basically what the CFO is going to do is use ARPA funds on those projects first until it's all gone.
Yes, sir.
And because we have this specific need for a homeless shelter, we're asking the General Assembly to help fund that project for us.
Thank you, sir.
Can I follow up with
Yeah,
that? So my question is the same as his second question, is where do the annual funds come to support this entity in the future?
Out of the city budget. I mean, it would be in the DSS portion of the budget.
Which we currently don't have?
Well, we don't currently have a homeless shelter, with the exception of the shelter that the Sheriff's Department has made available to our
So this would be another line item in our budget starting.
Correct. We would have to fund the sustainment long-term of the shelter. But that's
Have we
been
got
in the plan
Do we have an
ever
estimate?
since we decided we wanted to build the shelter with ARPA funds 2 city councils ago.
Do we have an annual estimate of what that will be?
I don't know what it is.
Mr. Coleman?
We do not have an annual estimate at this time, Councilman Dodson.
Councilwoman,
Yes, thank you. So I had another question, but since we're on the topic of the Housing Resource Center, when I was at the last PRHA meeting, and Ms. Neal, I brought your name up, they told me they already worked with you as well. They mentioned possibly requesting for council to provide funds for a housing funding trust. And apparently those are kind of funds that are set aside for the creation and preservation of affordable housing. I was wondering, is that fund, can those funds, if we request it from the state legislations to fund, and then provide in our general fund, could that also be kind of lumped into this 17 million for the Housing Resource Center as well? Like, are those type of funds available to use all at once? Is that, I see a smile, Mayor, do you know the answer?
so I don't know the specific answer to that, but I do know we have discussed, folks at PRHA, just conceptually, and I've mentioned it to Mr. Tillage, we all need to sit down as a council with PRHA and have a conversation of what that potentially could look like. I think it's premature for us to, at this time, to even consider putting something like that in our legislative package. But there's a way forward. We have some models. We just need to sit down as that body and this body and really kind of lead that discussion. Would you agree with that, sir?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's something that we need to develop this plan first. And once we identify the plan, I think we can put a dollar figure to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think,
But that would be separate from
this Housing Resource Center,
Absolutely.
okay.
This is solely for housing individuals experiencing.
Okay, not for affordable and, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if they
the
could all be
17
lumped.
million
We'll go towards the,
needed,
okay, this is a
exactly.
separate project, okay. All right, thank you.
Councilman Dodson.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but before we add more line items to our budget, I think we should be responsible for defining the revenue stream that's going to support it. And I look at this and I could just ask, we're taking on more expenses without even a projection of where the money's going to come from. We just got an estimate from our CFO that we were going to be in 5 years, we get another $30 million, $30 or $50 million short on our budget. I'm concerned that we're not, as we demand of legislatures, if they're going to have an expense, they have to define a revenue source. Why aren't we being as responsible as we ask of them?
Thank you, sir.
I will add,
Councilman Tillins.
thank you. I will add that the Housing Resource Center is not a new project. This is not a new project
No,
that
it's
not myself or Councilman Hugo added to the books. This is a project that 2 councils ago put on the books with ARPA dollars back in 2020. And so this has actually been on our budget books. It's been planned, and it's actually, if you look in the budget, it's actually a part of the projection because it's already listed as a CIP. So it's part of that 30-year projection. Now, to your point, as far as the operating costs, now that is totally separate from this conversation. But we do have money that, as mentioned earlier, money that came from ARPA that we're using. We are asking for money to be able to supplement in addition to the construction costs. But to what you're saying, that's a separate item. This is solely for construction.
Yes, it is. I know, I understand. I just think it's irresponsible for us not to take responsibility for the revenue stream to support it. But, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do this because of that. I just think we need to take the responsibility to initiate a revenue stream.
Well, I think there's 2 things. I can appreciate what your position is, but there's 2 things. As we move this process forward to completion of the facility, that will all be a part of the future ongoing conversation. We can't determine at this point what the actual cost and needs to operate the facility are going to be. We don't have any specific models to look at that. We have time as we go through the process. I don't think it's irresponsible. I think it's a process. And in the process, we have to come up with the funding as we work to complete the facility, and I think that's an ongoing conversation. Here's why I say that.
That's where I'm going.
Because I think there'll be an opportunity for grant dollars. There could also be some public-private partnerships because it is an opportunity for us to do a different program. I believe and I know that will be a part of the process. I don't disagree with you. We will be responsible in how we pay for this. It will be transparent, but at this point, we're working on getting the facility done.
Thank you, sir. We're on the same page.
Yeah. Vice Mayor.
You know, in a whole different discussion, we talked about regionalism. Each city has a homeless issue. This would be one area if there were real regional cooperation where all the cities in the Hampton, Southside Hampton Roads should join together to build something that would alleviate the housing problem.
No, I think it's valid.
all of us are richer than one of us. So
It's a very good point.
Just another example of a problem that's regional wide, but each city is doing its own little thing to try to put a dent in the homeless situation. And, that probably won't even put a dent in Portsmouth's homeless situation. So.
Well, if I could just add to that, and then I'll give you the floor. So what we're doing just on the homeless side regionally, we do have a regional footprint at our Hampton Roads Planning District. And we have a individual, even today, we're using those resources to manage our home program here in the city of Portsmouth. So we are pooling resources and best practices together from a regional level. We haven't taken on the homeless issue as a region yet, but housing, we are engaged in that process. So those things are happening. I welcome you all to certainly share these kinds of observations with me. I can bring it to the regional level in terms of that. So we've got more work to do, but housing, we do have a regional program that does and is assisting our citizens today. But we can do more. Councilwoman Thomas, you have the floor.
No, I just wanted to say I agree with Vice Mayor Moody on that point about the regional consideration to address the homelessness population because it is a rising issue and probably will rise even more as we kind of, tread through these economic times. But I definitely think we need one enforcement, but I wanted to bring up to see that EV RIFA that we're a part of, and we just became a part of, I think, last year, year before last. They were looking for possible projects to partner with on a regional level, so that might be, to your point, Vice Mayor Moody, something we can bring to them as a city.
Thank you. Sergeant
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Neal, you have the floor.
Thank you. The last item on here is one that potentially may fall off. In the 2025 legislative package, we have requested funding for the regional jail renovation project, which we were successful in getting. Thank you. And for all of you who worked really hard on that one, we all did. The issue is that when the language was written in the budget for reimbursement, we had been asking that we can be reimbursed as we expend it, and the language didn't come back that way. So the thought is here to ask for that language to be amended so that we could be reimbursed on a more regular or at least a quarterly basis as money is expended. I had some conversations with some folks up at the state level and specifically in Senate Finance, and they made a call and they looked into it and they said that it might be they may be able to address it and on the administrative side through the Department of General Services and Treasury, so that we wouldn't have to do anything legislatively with this. But they'll let me know by December, and if they can't, then we will go with a budget language asking them to amend that piece. Any
But based
questions?
on your conversation, you're pretty confident that we'll be able to get something done on this, though?
From what I was told, basically, yeah, they say that they think they could do it administratively without us doing it legislatively, so
Okay.
we'll just see what comes out of that one. Moving forward. Going the wrong way, wrong thing. So we have several public policy position statements. I'm not going to go through all of them for time because I know you guys have something to do after this. But this is not exclusive. This is just giving you some highlights of some of the public policy positions that we're stating that we support. And the next one would be those state public policy positions that we oppose, and the one I highlight on here is acquisition of the Virginia International Gateway by the Port Authority or by the Commonwealth without adequate compensation to the city of Portsmouth for any tax revenue that's lost in that transition.
Correct.
So we're definitely opposing and we're watching that.
Hey, Ms. Neal, before you go further, I did have a question on, and this has always perplexed me, and maybe I need you to explain it to us. The funding for the 599 program, which supports financial assistance to local police departments. To my understanding, this has been on the books for a long time. I know probably when our councilman was a legislative aide up there.
Before that, even.
Yeah, right. But I remember this. But I guess my question is, what is the gist of this? What is the hang-up why that can't get done? Do you have any idea?
Now, it was before my time in the
Okay,
legislature
right. But
as well.
it's right.
so that's how long it's been there.
It's been out there a long time.
But to my understanding, there was an agreement that was struck some years ago in the Commonwealth of Virginia when they were going through annexations. And so for cities like this that couldn't annex anything, because the city can't annex a city,
Sure, right.
the agreement was made that this House Bill 599, which is why 599 is called, because it was a House bill,
Right.
in which localities with police departments would receive X amount of funding.
Right.
And that percentage was based on the portion of the revenues that are received by the state that I'm looking for the word I'm looking for. When they receive revenues from the state, they would look at a portion of that. Every increase, we would get a portion of that would go into 599. But the state is never really held to what they agreed to.
Right.
And so that's why, we're always fighting for them to fully fund 599, because they have seen increases and they put in the money in rainy day funds, they put the money here and there, but 599 is always getting slighted. listening to some of the discourse up in Richmond, some of the legislators have some angst about it because of the fact that the money comes down to the local governments, but they feel that local governments are not actually using it for their police departments because money is fungible. So there's no way to really track to say that you got this money and this is exactly what you're using it for. So there's the rub comes in there with that. So
That conversation has been going on. I've been on council 26 years.
thank you.
And that's been probably in almost every legislative package since I've been on council. And, I just think it's a case that state needs to put up, or the localities need to do away with it and call it a day. But I think it's just a case that states that are this year flush in cash, not upholding their agreement.
Exactly.
Okay, so first I'm gonna go to the Councilman Tillage, then you, Madam Attorney.
Okay.
Gotcha. I just want to, so this is separate from the 599, but there will be a statement here regarding tolls, our stance on tolls. But with the toll situation, we're looking at doing a study with a local university, as well as some regional organizations on how we can better leverage the argument for tolls across the region. So I just wanted to let you know that we are continuing to fight tolls, in addition to what we were able to achieve last year with the toll mitigation program. So we're continuing to build on it, and as soon as we get some information from our study, we'll begin to share that with council as well.
I was just going to mention the JLARC study piece with respect to the port, and also our initiative on the pilot program, which is going to come up in the federal section. JLARC did a study for us when the port first went private, part of the port went private many, many moons ago, on the impact of ports on port cities. Portsmouth was highlighted. I think it might be good, I don't know how a JLARC study is ordered, but maybe nice to have that updated for us. I think it'll be helpful for both initiatives to have a new study done, particularly because we know the port has their money to do what they want to move forward on, and so it'd be helpful to have those official numbers and data from the entity that does those studies on its impact on port cities.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Dodson, sorry.
I was going to say the same thing.
No, you weren't. Live in here.
Yes, I was, is that we really need to understand in order to take to legislation what the impact is, and otherwise we can't go.
I told you to say that.
Yeah,
Good job.
thank you very much.
Councilman Hugo.
Yeah, so one other policy discussion that we had in committee has to do with the pop-up event issue that Virginia Beach raised. The gist of our discussion was we support in principle what Virginia Beach wants to do, but there were some clarifications that we were looking for from Virginia Beach on how to implement what they're talking about implementing. And so I think we have a little bit more homework to do to understand what it is that we're supporting. But in principle, we like their proposal that there should be some discipline into popping up.
Right. And if I could just add to that, we were called to a meeting, the mayors in the region, by Virginia Beach and their leadership, to support this effort to go to the General Assembly to ask for some guardrails, as my colleague likes to say, in terms of pop-up events. Virginia Beach is experiencing a phenomena that's not unusual for beach areas. It happened in Miami, where these young people and people that are on social media are having pop-up calls for parties and events. Thousands of people show up for these events. Most recently, Virginia Beach had one on the ocean front, and there was a individual that chose to show up with a semi-automatic weapon and start the shooting. There were only 11 police officers on site. They knew nothing of this pop-up event, and when the shooting started, they had the video, they showed it to all of us. All you saw were mass people running in all directions. I don't know how no one got trampled. It wasn't on the news, but they have an issue with that. And these pop-up parties, what happens is, I guess through social media, don't quote me on it because I'm not a social media guy, but they make an all call for all these people to show up, and literally thousands of people show up. The problem is the police, EMS, no one has any pre-warning that this amount of people are coming to an area. On the books today, I think most localities have an ordinance of getting groups of people together. I think the number is 50 or something. I know in Virginia Beach, I think it was 50. So as you can see, it presents some very challenging issues for an oceanfront. They gave an example of what they've done in Miami, where they cut all that stuff out. And so they were able to make some headway in that, but they want to go to the legislature. Bottom line, they want us and other localities to sign on to that legislation. Councilman Dyson.
I don't know if y'all are aware, but we've had quite a number of those events happen in the city just over the last year. This is not something new to Portsmouth. We've had cars burned. We've had people assaulted because they can't get through the roadways here. So this, to me, this is a top issue. It needs to be handled and gives that neighborhood where it occurs, which is not far from my neighborhood. We've had 3 of them in the last year. Very dangerous events happen.
And to your point, I will say we did bring those up, that it's in every locality. It's not just in Virginia Beach. It may take a different form, and it's not as many people, but it's in every locality, because my colleague in Suffolk said, well, I don't have those kind of problems. Yes, you do. You just don't know about them. But in any event, the reality, we're trying to put some type of controls in place, and we're going to need each other to help. And I agree with my colleagues here. It wasn't clear on what that needs to look like. We need some more defined, like actionable things so we know what's happening before we just sign up for it. I agree that it needs to be controlled. It needs to happen sooner rather than later, but I don't know that this session will be able to get done.
Thank you.
The mayor had a question. Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Neal, can you, for the inclusion of all stakeholders and
I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
sorry, go ahead.
On the top, before you go there, can I just add on to?
Sure,
Yeah, sure, absolutely, yes, yes.
Mayor, so our committee had me reach out to our delegation members about a couple of these items that came in, and pop-up events was one of them. I've discussed it with them, and of course, more clarification is needed. You don't see it listed here, but when you receive your actual booklet, when it's all finished and done, we have another whole list of things that we support. And it is listed in there that we're going to, we put it in as legislation, where is it at? Oh, legislation to help control and or contain to the greatest extent possible pop-up events as a supported issue.
Sure.
So we'll monitor it as it develops throughout, and our committee is going to be meeting periodically throughout the General Assembly session as well. So everybody will be kept informed, kept updated as we move forward.
And not to belabor the point, but one of the things that they talked about, when these individuals who are the promoters of these pop-up events, they want some type of acknowledgement before they actually have the event to let law enforcement know and other responsible parties know, because that's a big problem when you bring thousands of people. You don't have the resources to manage it. It's very, man, when I saw that video, I'm like, my grandkids could have been standing out there, or anybody for that matter, but it's something that needs to happen.
Okay, I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
No, it's fine. No, that's great for more information about that serious issue. I wanted to know for that bullet about the inclusion of stakeholders and discussions involving future of juvenile detention in Virginia, just a little bit more information about what some of those discussions or changes for juvenile detention in Virginia that we're, supporting on a public level. Is it just to include people that haven't been included before? Different?
There is a move underfoot by a state senator who has issues with juvenile detention and the way it's done in Virginia, and he's been basically trying to somewhat close them down and eliminate and things of that nature. And so we've been able to keep him at bay for a little while, but he's going to come back again this General Assembly session. So this particular It's something that's also in Virginia Municipal League, Virginia First Cities, a statement that if you're going to do something like that, you need to sit down with all the stakeholders to have an issue in it, so that we could have a discussion, a fair discussion on how to handle this, because it's an issue. And it's not just an issue in Portsmouth. Suffolk has a problem. There are other areas with similar issues.
Trying to block all
So,
legislation.
I won't call Senator Schiminelli, but whatever you call him, Councilman.
They're trying to close
Sorry.
juvenile detention centers,
Or regionalized,
Regional.
regionalize it, okay.
Not closing,
which is contrary to the plan that we're pursuing to
Our own juvenile
create our
detention, yeah.
own at one of the pods at the
Hampton Roads
new
Regional,
jail.
yeah, the new jail, yes. Okay, I just wanted to know kind of what that bullet point, because that's a major concern
Yep.
for me, especially because my family. Okay, thank you.
Definitely.
Thank
But
you.
let me ask you something on that, because I met the state senator who is behind that. He's very well educated in juvenile detention.
I heard you still working it.
Yeah, he's done it all over the country, and he's very knowledgeable about it. And when he showed me some data, I think it might be beneficial if we invite him here or his representative to educate us, because. Look,
good
we
idea.
can agree that we need to have places for our juveniles, and they need to be appropriate and adequate. But the way we do juvenile detention in the state right now, we are spending a lot of money, and we're not meeting the needs. And I think it really needs to be a conversation. This is just my 2 cents. We need to be, as a body, engaged on what the system is. Is that fair?
I agree.
And what's being put in, and what the system really needs. There were some amazing statistics that I saw where we're having to have, just as an example, like 5 or 6 paid educators for like 1 or 2 children. I mean, I don't know why that is. That's just an example, but we'll bring them in. But the state requires certain things that has to be in that environment, and there's a lot of dollars that are being wasted that could be used to take care of those children appropriately. So I just think we need to have those folks come in and talk to us so we can have a better understanding, because I didn't have an understanding of it. And the gentleman came down, he met with the sheriff's people at the jail, and I got called on a night, and he was there the next morning. And what happened was, when I showed up, he's a state senator now. I can't even recall his name right now. but-
Marsden. Senator Marsden.
Yes, that's his name. Nice guy, affable. I mean, knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. He does this all over the country, and so what he has to say is worthy of listening to. It's not, he wasn't promoting, when I was there, he wasn't really promoting closing juvenile. He was talking about giving it the best chance to meet the needs of our children. That's what I thought.
I support your idea of getting him in here.
I think we need to hear
I
a
think he
conversation.
was also closing the state-run facilities.
Yes, he was, because that's where a lot of the waste, and he was saying they need to be local. They need to be run by the local communities, and that effort needs to be more, those stakeholders need to be at the table, so.
Yes.
What I'll do is I'll get with Mr. Carter, I'll try to get him to come down and speak with us, because I think there's a lot of value in hearing what he has to say. Councilman Goodwin.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So the reason the language here ended up being the language here to include all stakeholders is exactly because we have opinions on how
100%.
this needs to go. And kind of where the committee started out with was, well, it's interesting that people have opinions, but we got a problem. And we need to
100%.
fix the problem. And so at some point, you got to say, okay, thanks for your opinions, but now we got a plan and we're going to go execute. Well, we have a plan that we're trying to go execute, and so now it's time to get the stakeholders together to say, look, we don't have time to dilly-dally around here. We need to settle on a plan, and we want everybody's opinions on the table so we can have the best plan to go execute. But then, once we get a plan, get out of the way, because we're going to go execute.
Yep. And that was the recommendation when I talked to him that day. I said, we need to get everybody in the room.
Yeah.
You all know, before I start talking about stuff, we all need to be, number one, at least knowledgeable about what it is. And we need everybody in the room. So when you leave the room, you might be a little bit better educated, but more importantly, we can come to a conclusion that says, yes, That's the way we want to go. Instead of listening to all this anecdotal stuff
Right.
off on the sidebar that people talking that have no idea about what they're talking about. So one of the things I'll ask Mr. Carter after the election cycle is over to bring the senator in, I'm sure he would welcome the opportunity. And maybe after he just talked to us in a group, we can then get that stakeholder group together. Because I don't want to necessarily, I don't know, I'll take input, but I think we need to be educated. And then we bring all the other people. What do you think, Madam Attorney?
I think you're spot on. Good job there.
Yep.
Spot on.
It's your
I'm
floor.
hard, I'm having trouble
I'm sorry.
reading clues. Any further conversation on, and I think that's a great idea, Mayor. A little bit short on time, because after the election, you're going to run into the holidays and then General Assembly, but
I'm gonna make a real plea.
if anybody can do it, I'm sure you can.
There- one-
Mayor.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
can I
No,
ask-
Councilwoman, yes, please.
Ms. Neal, could you, on the previous slide, the state prioritizing its resources for vital services, could you review this last point with us, please?
Okay, so again, this is something that we're in lockstep with Virginia Municipal League and Virginia First Cities and the other organizations, sister cities that we're affiliated with. So as we all know, there's a lot of cuts coming down from the federal government to the state government. And the state is, even though we went through our budget amendment request, you know, I'm encouraging people to try to temper your expectations because there's such a big hole that the state has to backfill for the funds that's being lost from the federal government. And so what it's asking here is that the state prioritize its resources to help protect, serve children and families in our vulnerable communities in the face of changing relationships, and not push all that down to local governments to try to backfill. I mean, for instance, if SNAP benefits are being lost on the 1st of November. If, in fact, the governor, even though he had declared an emergency situation where he could try to backfill some of that money, if, in fact, he's not able to, whatever he's working with, I'm told, it's not sustainable. So it might be a month. It might be a portion of what they get. But from what I'm understanding, in the city of Portsmouth alone, there's over 22,000 people who are on SNAP benefits, which is costing about $4 million a month. Which, if it's not backfilled at the state level, it's going to come down to the local governments. So we're trying to encourage the state to, whatever they do with their money, to make sure that they take care of these vulnerable communities first and don't push it down to the local government to do.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, ma'am. Oh, Councilman Dodson.
Yes. So, I'm going to sound like a broken record over and over and over until y'all start calling me a broken record, but I really want to keep on the back page somewhere that changed the sunshine law to allow less than a quorum. And I'm going to keep harping on it, hopefully happily and cheerfully, but sometime if we can keep it in there. We need better communication amongst us, and if three of us could get together, it would really help.
Thank you.
So,
Councilman Hugo, you have the floor, sir.
a process thing. Part of the process to get to this list is we took everybody's inputs, including the Sunshine Law input, and we put them all together, and we sat down with our General Assembly reps for the first time back in July. And so everything that has survived on the list are things that we looked in the eyes of our General Assembly reps and said, will you commit to supporting these things? And their answer was yes or no. And so the thumbs up made it on the list,
right?
And the thumbs down were left on the cutting room floor. Sunshine Laws was left on the cutting room floor.
I just want to keep it forefront if I could.
I get it. We'll continue to next year put it up back on the list and look for a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Thank you.
And I'll add that all four Portsmouth reps were present, and
Yes.
they all agreed, well, the ups or downs, so,
Okay.
all four.
Yeah.
Good work, guys.
And last but not least, I'll try to remind you guys, in the General Assembly, there are 100 members in the House of Delegates, and there are 40 in the Senate.
That's correct.
The city of Portsmouth has 2 delegates and 2 senators.
Right.
And there's a big gap in there. Out of the ones that we have, the ones that can actually carry legislation, we have 1 delegate that can actually carry legislation, which is Delegate Hayes. Speaker Scott can try to influence on the back end, but he does not submit legislation.
Right.
Senator Lucas, because she has so many more committees she's serving on, things she's doing now because she's chair of the Senate Committee on Finance, she's limiting how much legislation she's actually carrying. So that just leaves Senator Jordan. So we have to be kind of circumscript about how we do things and moving forward and what we're asking for and things of that nature. So just to keep that in your forefront of your minds.
I think that's good information. Thank you. It's good to know.
Moving forward. So on the federal level, we have 2 items that we've been working with and looking at. The first one is something that's been an issue since I've been here and before I got here, and probably be an issue after I leave. And so after some conversations that we've had, and when we were in D.C., and our council members who went to meet with our federal reps came back and said that one of our congressman, Scott, had shown some interest, I think, and also Senator Kane has shown some interest in possibly having to do an updated study on the pilot fee program. And for those who don't understand what it is, it's payment in lieu of taxes, which is what the federal government pays localities for properties that they have or facilities that they have in governments that's taking them off the tax rolls. So you get a percentage back for their presence. We do not receive pilot fees for the military installations in the city of Portsmouth, primarily because when they initially put the program together, the properties had to be on the city's tax rolls before it was taken over by the federal government. And at the time when they developed the shipyard, City of Portsmouth had not been chartered.
That's a fact.
So, yeah, that's a fact. So, and there's been some changes in the program since then.
The hospital, too.
And the hospital, yes.
Portsmouth was chartered in 1858.
This is true. And they go back to 1700s. So.
Founded in 1752.
Thank you. So there's been some changes over the years to the programs, but there's nothing that changed our status. So I have been conducting, with the committee's assistance, did some conducting of did some surveys so we could try to find out statewide if there were other localities that were interested in joining us in this effort. We have about 9 of them right now that have said that they would be interested in supporting an effort of this nature. Councilman Hugel also serves on the National League of Cities Military Affairs Committee, and he's been talking with his committee members about also looking at something of this nature. So it's work in progress at this point. We couldn't go too much further with it at this time because of the federal government being shut down. Staff is not there, so we're kind of like in a state of pause on this for right now, but this is one of the ones that we're working with, the committee. The next one is looking at exploring federal grant funding to study federal safety needs in Portsmouth for the railroad crossings. And again, with the federal government being in the state that it is right now, there's not a whole lot going on with grants or funding or anything, so it's kind of on hold as well. Any questions about either of those two before we move forward?
Keep moving.
Here is listed some public policy items, and this is a compilation of items that's from the International City Managers Association, the Public Policy Committee that I sit on, as well as National League of Cities. And so I'm not going to go through all of them, but you know, CBDG is always up for grabs. So, yes.
And one thing, if I could say to CBDG CDBG. We use a lot of that funding here in the city of Portsmouth to supplement our programming, particularly for a number of our underserved families and our home programs and things like that. Just so you know, I was on the committee at the mayor's level, the National Mayors Association. We support adding funding to CDBG grants because they haven't been funded in the last 40 years. 40 years. So just understand that, this is a wholly underfunded program throughout the nation, and it's something that we need to pay attention to because this directly impacts people's lives, the CDBG.
Thank you, Mayor. And also, in some literature I've read over the last few months, one of the new budget that, if they ever get through this continuing resolution at the federal level, in the new budget, they actually are cutting these programs, CDBG and home, and all of these, the safer grants, all of this stuff is being cut out. This is their proposal, so. And on the flip side, of course, we support and we oppose. So again, we oppose them cutting these programs, home, CDBG, Section 8 programs. Section 8 is definitely on the chopping block. And we talk about housing problems and housing issues. That's going to be a huge one should they cut their program. It's going to cause a lot of unhoused people, not just in this city, but period, nationwide. Any questions on any of these? If not, I'll move forward. So our next steps, of course, we know Election Day is around the corner. I'm sorry, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I pointed for clarification for your understanding. The grant that we lost for the dam, was that state or federal?
The BRIC grant, that was federal.
Federal. Can we, this unfunded federal mandates, it falls under that, doesn't it? On that screen right there? In other words, they mandated that we upgrade it, but they did not fund it.
I'm sorry. It's federal.
Regulation for dams.
Yes. I'm sorry. The engineer says it's a state regulation for dams. It's not federal. It's not a federal mandate.
But the
It's
funds.
a state regulation.
Okay, but the funds were state or federal?
These funds were from the federal government to help this program, but the regulations are state.
Then would it be wise to include that same line on the state for unfunded state mandates
We do
too?
have that. Any unfunded state mandates, I'm pretty sure we do, because that's a
Should we specify? I didn't see it specifically in there.
Any state mandated.
I think, Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
If I may, I think on the PowerPoint, you just put the big ones up there, but there's a longer list.
It's in
And
the
as
booklet.
one of
It's
the
in the
ones that
longer
didn't make
list.
the PowerPoint was the unfunded mandates.
Okay, we'd just love to see that one,
Yeah.
a specific line item.
Absolutely. It's on the list every year.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So here we are. So Election Day is a week away or so. Following the election, pre-filing of state legislation will begin. And that's the period of time when we're able to have our delegation members begin submitting legislation to be drafted. Why this is important is because they have a rule that they have placed upon themselves, the Rules Committee, about how many bills each legislator can submit. And so prior to the cutoff period, they can put in X number of bills, but after that, they're limited to how many bills they can put in, and it goes against their personal count. So we always try to get our stuff in early so that it doesn't go against their personal count. Right. So right now, because of there being an election in November, they're not starting pre-filing until the 17th, and it's going to cut off in December, so it's going to be maybe like 2 or 3 weeks for pre-file. On the 25th, we're having a joint meeting with City Council and our delegation members to go over our state presentation, our state initiatives. Following that meeting, that work session, and your regular session is when you'll adopt your resolutions to adopt both the federal initiatives and the state. And then in December, on the 17th, the governor's going to present his final budget. Moving into next year, second half of the United States Congress, 119th session will begin. General Assembly session begins on the 13th of January. Our committee is going to have an interim meeting at the end of January so that we can get caught up on what's going on, where our initiatives and issues lay at, in preparation for VML Local Government Day, which is on the 5th of February, and then NLC's congressional conferences in DC in March. Those are the dates, and one of those dates in there, probably the 15th or the 16th, we'll be going up to the Hill to meet with our congressional reps. And that's all I have.
One question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is it your recommendation, and I'm sure the committee will have something to say about this, that during the legislative session, that we pay a visit to our legislators as a body, individually or as a group? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's always good to be seen.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that I was thinking right. And in addition to that, I must say that in all my years that I've been on council and in the mayor's seat, this has been one of the most comprehensive discussions we've had in terms of our legislative package. And it's not because there wasn't content there to discuss, but I have to commend my colleagues. You guys have done some very thoughtful work. And this is why we're here, to do this thoughtful work and make sure that we're getting the best out of ourselves and going to our state leaders and making sure our citizens get the best results. So I want to thank you guys for putting in the work, because there's a lot of work that's required and people don't always get to see the behind the scene work that goes in. But this was very thoughtful, and I appreciate everybody's effort, but most importantly, our committee. And you, Ms. Neal.
Thank you, Mayor. And to bring me back to my initial comment, I am truly grateful for this committee, for the staff that serves on the committee with me, for the council people that serve on this committee with me, for the leadership that serves on the committee with me, including our lawyers here and in the back. So thank you for everybody for all your help. This is truly a team effort, and it makes my life a lot easier. So thank you. And I'm done. If you have anything else for me, I'm out.
Anybody else for Ms. Neal?
Thank you.
Councilman Dodson.
He beat me to it about what an excellent job. This is so much better than, to use Kitty's term, the collaboration pays off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you all. You have a good night.
Thank you.
Ms. Neal.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Same thoughts.
So folks, we do have a need to go into a closed session, and at this time, I would ask the Vice Mayor to please read the closed session motion.
I move to go into a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A for the purpose of consultation, with legal counsel employed by the public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, specifically regarding shootings in the city, and B, pursuant to Virginia Code subsection 2.2-3711A1 for the purpose of discussion and consideration regarding the positions of interim city attorney and city attorney.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Dotson?
Aye.
Mr. Hugel?
Aye.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes.
Thank you.
We are in closed. Let's take a 5-minute break and reconvene.
Hereby move that each council member is certified to the best of his or her knowledge only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and 2, only such public business matters that were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, are considered and the closed meeting just concluded.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion. Second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Dotson?
Aye.
Mr. Hugo?
Aye.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes.
Thank you.
And before we adjourn, I want to share with everyone, in your box, you'll have a copy of this book. It's called, it was shared with me by someone in our planning department, How Downtown Can Save America, One Step at a Time, Walkable City. I think it'll provide some real good information and data and a roadmap to how we are going to save Portsmouth downtown by becoming the best walkable city in the nation. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank
and
you.
input. This was really engaging. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.